For over a decade, he was the final boss, the mountain every superstar had to try and climb. The tribal chief, the head of the table. But what happens when the mountain itself decides to walk away? Tonight at WrestleMania, in front of the world, the most dominant force in modern WWE history did the one thing no one ever expected him to do. He laid down his crown and said goodbye. Welcome back, everyone. This isn't a standard news recap. This is a moment in history. WrestleMania is designed for legends to be born, for titles to change hands, for stories to reach their epic conclusion. But sometimes, just sometimes, it becomes a stage for something much bigger, for a full stop at the end of an era. Tonight, at WrestleMania 42, after the last match had been fought and the last championship had been won, the real main event happened. No bell rang. No referee was needed. Roman Reigns walked to that ring, took a microphone, and changed WWE forever. To truly understand the weight of this moment, you have to remember the journey. This wasn't a superstar who had a good few years. This was a defining force. Think back to the Shield, the Enforcer, the big dog. That was chapter 1. Then came the struggle, the fan reaction, the battle to find his true place. And then, the rebirth. The return as the tribal chief. It wasn't just a new character. It was a seismic shift in the entire industry. For nearly 4 years, Roman Reigns didn't just hold the Universal Championship, he was the Universal Championship. He was the undisputed, undeniable center of the WWE Universe. He had the longest world title reign in the modern era. He main evented countless WrestleManias. He had legendary rivalries with Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, The Rock. He built an empire, a bloodline, that dominated every storyline it touched. He carried the company on his back with a presence of absolute, unquestioned dominance. He made "Acknowledge me" not just a catchphrase, but a commandment. So picture the scene. WrestleMania 42. The final pyro has faded. The arena is still buzzing, but there's a different kind of energy. The ring is empty, clean, waiting, and then his music hits, that ominous, powerful theme. But there's no sprint to the ring, no snarl, no Usos by his side. Roman Reigns walks out alone, in simple gear, no title belt over his shoulder. The swagger is still there, but it's quieter, more dignified. He steps through the ropes, and the entire stadium, every single fan is on their feet, not cheering, not booing, but just waiting. He takes the microphone. The arena falls so silent you could hear a pin drop, and he begins to speak. He talks about the journey, the nights in high school gyms, the grind of the performance center, the dream of headlining WrestleMania. He talks about the responsibility of being the tribal chief, not just for his family, but for the entire WWE. He talks about the pride and the immense, relentless pressure of being the one everyone is gunning for over 100 or 300 days, and then he gets to the point. He says that at the peak of the mountain, with nothing left to prove to anyone, you have to be honest with yourself. He talks about his body, about the sacrifices, about wanting to leave on his own terms. At the very top, in the main event of WrestleMania, and then he says the words, "My time as your tribal chief, as an active competitor in this ring, is over." There is no dramatic collapse, no sudden turn. It is a calm, powerful, and final decision. He thanks the fans. He thanks his family. He thanks WWE. He says this isn't an end but a passing of the torch. The camera pans to the locker room emptied onto the stage. Every single superstar and legend standing and silent. Absolute respect. The crowd isn't chanting "Thank you, Roman" yet. They're just absorbing it, trying to believe it. This matters because it breaks the modern wrestling mold. In today's era, legends often fade away, make sporadic returns, or leave for other promotions. A clean, decisive, on-microphone retirement at the absolute pinnacle of the industry is almost unheard of. Think about it. He didn't lose a retirement match. He wasn't forced out by injury. He chose this moment on the grandest stage, after the most dominant reign of a generation, to walk away. It's a lesson in legacy control. Roman Reigns has now permanently framed his own story. He will forever be remembered as the tribal chief who was so dominant, so complete that the only person who could ever defeat him was himself on his own terms. It elevates his entire career into myth. He is no longer a former champion. He is a retired undefeated king. This single act makes his entire 4-year reign even more legendary, because it has a definitive self-authored conclusion. The raw emotion wasn't in tears, but in sheer respect. Watch the faces in the crowd. Grown adults, hands over their mouths in stunned silence. Watch the wrestlers on the stage. You see Cody Rhodes, the man who finally dethroned him, nodding with a look of profound understanding. You see The Rock, a proud, solemn expression on his face. You see Paul Heyman, the wise man, not managing, not scheming, but just watching his tribal chief with tears in his eyes. This was the final acknowledgement. For years he demanded we acknowledge him, and in this moment we all did, not as a villain or a hero, but as a legend. The silence was louder than any pop or any boo. It was the sound of an entire audience realizing they were witnessing the end of something they'd taken for granted for years. The finality of it is what hits you. No see you down the road. It was a period at the end of a very long, powerful sentence. Future possibilities, logical, no fake info. So what does WWE and what does Roman Reigns look like after this? For Roman, this likely means a complete step back from in-ring competition. We might see him in a special ambassador role, or very occasionally as an on-screen authority figure or special host. But the character of the tribal chief as an active wrestler is complete. His story is done. It's a rare and beautiful thing in wrestling, to see a story told so perfectly from beginning to end. For WWE, the landscape is utterly transformed. The top of the mountain is now empty. The undisputed throne is vacant for the first time in 4 years. This opens the door for the new generation in a way no simple title loss ever could. Cody Rhodes is now the champion in a world without Roman Reigns. The pressure, the opportunity is immense. Who becomes the new center of gravity? Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, a rising star from NXT? The entire main event scene just got a shock to the system. And every single superstar's career trajectory just changed. For over a decade, Roman Reigns defined an era, first by force, then by sheer undeniable will. He transformed from a polarizing figure into the most compelling character in the business, and tonight, he did the most powerful thing a character like that can do. He ended his own story, on his own terms, at the very peak. He didn't fade away. He didn't overstay his welcome. He stood in the middle of the WrestleMania ring, surrounded by the evidence of his dominance, and chose to leave. The ring will feel different now. The main event scene will feel different. There's a new silence where the tribal chief's music used to play. But that's what a true legacy does. It leaves an echo that lasts forever. Once the tribal chief, always a legend. Where were you when Roman Reigns retired? What did this moment mean to you as a fan? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Share your memories of his greatest matches, his biggest moments. If you appreciate these deep dives into the stories that shape wrestling, please hit that like button and subscribe. We break down the history, the moments, and the future right here. Thanks for watching. Acknowledge that.